This is National Poetry Day, offering sanctuary to anyone who comes knocking. I'm your host, Conlon, and you're listening to Just One Poem. National Poetry Day 2023 is themed around the idea of refuge. Now, during the pandemic, I took refuge in poetry, along with many others, published and unpublished, first-timers and old-timers. I wrote, I read, I reached out to others, and I found a network of people who use the form to explore their own voice, as we all began to hear more clearly in the absence of cars, in the absence of tills beeping, in the absence of business as usual. But not everyone sees poetry as a refuge. To some, to many even, there's poetry with a capital P and poetry with a lowercase p. Poetry with a capital P can be daunting, all closed doors and difficult meanings, or so it sometimes seems. There are poems I find tough to understand. The voice might not be in my language, and I feel stupid for not getting it. It's a feeling most of us have felt from time to time, beginning perhaps at school when we're asked what the poet meant by ghastly statue with one grey toe, big as a Frisco seal, or April is the cruelest month. Poetry with a lowercase p, on the other hand, feels more at home. At lunchtime, I bought a huge orange. Or, tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? How straightforward, how simple. And some might ask if this is poetry, expecting perhaps a code to crack. But the depth of a poem often lies in the earth of the reader. It's how receptive we are and how deep we allow a poem to settle in our heart. Because really, there's just poetry, Poetry, and it's a question of finding the version, the voice, which opens its doors to you. This poem is called Hope, and it's by Nicola Davis. A bomb took his brother, a sniper's bullet took his dad. And when you asked about his mum and sister, he just looked away. So when his was the only sunflower that didn't come up, I thought, geez, the universe really doesn't like this kid. I didn't blame him when he threw the pot against the wall. But in the middle of the muddy impact zone, there was a speck of green, a minute, fragile finger poking from that skinny, stripy little seed. He picked it up, refilled the pot, replanted it with such tenderness, then, for the first time, smiled. I had to turn away to hide the tears as a tiny shoot of hope stirred inside me too. Keep your doors open and the lights on. My name is Conlon, and this has been Just One Poem.